Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 9 a.m. Eastern. So we have the S&P 500 bulls with some strength pre-market. We're going to be either seeing a small gap up open or opening right at the high of yesterday. So we have a little support level to be watching on the hourly time frame. I'm looking down at the afternoon consolidation from yesterday. 289.92 is our support level, so we can say that's the line in the sand. If the bulls hold that level, they keep full control. As far as resistance goes, if we break the high, which is likely, our next resistance level is the 2019 high, up at 291.43. What I'm going to be watching today is going to be the biotech and healthcare sector. It looks like we got MedMen news, 250 investment. That's going to give some action. So if you are in the MJ sector, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on MedMen. And I can't look at the details now. So we're looking at SPY very healthy on the daily, looking for our higher low to form. And if we see this bull move to start the morning, our daily higher low, and actually it is already set because we broke the high of Thursday. So that key support level on the daily is 288.66. Bears have absolutely nothing to talk about unless we break that support level, in my opinion. And here comes our resistance, 291.43. So I'm watching the healthcare and biotech sector, because how they break this daily inside bar is going to be significant for me as far as short-term action. So we're seeing an open right now in the middle of that range. We're not getting a clear break pre-market. So for XBI, if we see a bear break of 83.69, that's going to have downside weight on the market, and we're going to be looking at our low of the dump. And if we get the bull break, then our daily bounce is going to be underway, and that's going to help SPY head to the high of 2019, in my opinion. Same thing for XLV. And same thing, daily inside bar. So watching both of those daily inside bars for overall market perspective, as well as potential individual opportunity, whether it's trading XBI and the leveraged ETFs or individual names that we're looking to bounce. The healthcare sector is more beat up than the biotech sector, still oversold on the daily. So keeping an eye on both of those, they're probably going to do the same thing. But if we were to see one of them break bullish of the daily inside bar and the other unable to do so, it would be a bit of a red flag. We want to see conviction from both sectors in whichever direction that inside bar breaks. Dollar bulls in full control, bull flag confirmed on the daily. Here we go, 97.71 is the level that we are watching, and that's going to be monthly continuation. If we get the bull break, just a higher low and continuation to a higher high. Gold is really hurting, bear flag confirmed. Gold has been a very easy bear play since 1280 broke. Bulls haven't shown us anything. It was a weak bear flag that set up. We saw that yesterday. And another leg down. The bull miners have been getting crushed. The bear miners have had a really good previous 5 days of trading. So we are seeing bearish gold continue. And again, our target, looking at the monthly equilibrium, is mid to lower 1200s. Oil has been extremely strong. It's consolidated this morning, but it's still healthy overall. The 4-hour time frame is still in an uptrend. The daily chart will be due for consolidation to form a higher low at some point in the near-term future this week, in my opinion. But at this point, no red flags on the consolidation we've seen this morning. Natural gas oversold bounce is a bear flag set up on the daily time frame. It's up to the bulls to try and negate that. But as of right now, they're not doing a good job. So bear flag set up on natural gas on the daily chart. And last, we got Bitcoin bulls with a clear bull break to higher highs. The daily time frame was grinding the 12-period exponential support on the way up. We saw a clear bull break, and it's just continuation of the weekly trend change. The weekly trend change occurred at 42.39. We're making our way back to a previous resistance zone now, so a previous support zone, 57 to 59, 57 to 6,000. A lot of price action in there, and we're heading up to those levels now. Inside bar on the weekly bull break, keep an eye on Riot and other blockchain names. Probably going to see gap up opens in response to this strength. And we got hourly uptrend, 4-hour uptrend, daily uptrend, weekly uptrend. The Bitcoin bulls are in full control. And until we start seeing trends change on these time frames, that's going to remain the case. And again, just a simple rule of thumb for me for the cryptocurrency space at this point. If Bitcoin keeps the daily 12-period exponential support, I am all bull. It's going to require a loss of that support level for me to be looking bearish at all. So I already said I'm watching the biotech and healthcare inside bars. The MJ sector has been on fire last Thursday, yet again yesterday. So there's a lot of volatility in that space. Going to continue watching. and managing swing positions from the last couple of days. So let's get into some morning setups. And we'll start it off with low. So low, anything on the daily chart above 111.90 maintains the higher lows to keep those bulls in control. And we're heading down to this level. This is the kind of pullback that we have to watch out for a head and shoulders pattern, even if we hold support. The size of the pullback is significant enough that even if we hold the higher low and we start to bounce, we're going to look for the lower high to form. So we're still not confident that our support level has been established yet. We have to change the hourly trend to be confident the daily higher low has been established. Anything under 115.31 is just an hourly lower high. So we have to change the hourly trend as step number one. But even then, we have to be cautious of a right shoulder forming on this head and shoulders pattern, as we had a lot of bear volume back on Thursday, and the bulls have been unable to shift momentum. So hourly trend on watch, bears in control of the hourly chart, and key daily support is approaching. GNC, seeing some bullish news with CBD this morning. So big time pre-market action, 247. So gap up open is coming. Anything under 262 is just a lower high on the daily time frame. So we're not changing the daily trend anytime soon. On the 5-minute time frame, looking at the range this morning, we're looking at 241 to 258 as a short-term range to be watching. Snap. Snap's a daily inside bar. Let's see where we stand pre-market. Up at 1190, so we are going to see a gap up open this morning. And bulls are trying to give confidence that our weekly higher low has been established. It's a weekly bull flag. We've already confirmed 2 weekly bull flags over the last couple of months. So the gap up open now is giving the bulls lots of space to work with to change this daily trend. Once we top out, anything under 1237 is going to be a lower high, but with this gap up open, we're creating space to try and form a daily higher low and change the trend once we do top out. So looking for that weekly higher low to form, and the daily chart bulls just need to follow through with the trend change to give it to us. BNB, daily time frame still an inside bar, and actually I want to do Binance here. So still very tight. And we were looking at a time frame yesterday to try and find the most clarity, and I pulled up the 6-hour, and I still like it. So high, low, lower high, higher low, double top. So most important support is 23, and most important resistance is 24.64. And we are still within that range. We're 64 cents from a bear break and $1 from a bull break, so the bears have a slight edge, but still tightening ranges. PI bulls have been on fire on the daily time frame. Nice increasing little bull volume on each of the legs up that we're seeing. Anything on the daily above 1890 is a higher low. Weekly time frame, trend change and follow through. So we're now looking up at resistance of 2219. So psychological resistance levels from here. 21 will be the first level, and the bull's in full control as long as the hourly uptrend is intact. Short-term support is 2028. If we lose the hourly uptrend, we'll zoom out and look for the potential that the daily needs another higher low. But that's a very nice daily chart over the last couple weeks, with volume giving those bulls confidence. Lift, trying to negate the daily bear flag. I'd say it's still possible at this point. The size of the drop compared to the size of the bounce, percentage-wise, keeps this being a bear flag possibility. Hourly uptrend, anything above, let's see, we don't have an hourly support level that's a good one from regular trading. We only have extended hours as 60.71, and because nothing else is nearby, I'm going to use that level as a key support. And we have some bullish action pre-market, but looking for another hourly higher low to form on this setup this morning. So a gap up open is coming, and the odds of a bear flag being negated increase with every further upside we see. So that's a great start to the day for the bulls. They just want to shift that momentum from consolidation from the pre-market strength for an hourly higher low and some bullish follow through back into the 62s once that bell rings. JNUG. So the bears are in complete control of these miners, and you can see they just fell off a cliff. The weekly time frame was a tightening range that broke bearish on the senior miners, and the junior miners already broke it bearish in advance. And we're just looking down now. Let's see, we got another gap down open coming, I believe. Let's double check that. 715, so that is the case. 7 psychological and 672 is the next support level. But again, bears in complete control. It's worth starting to scout for an oversold bounce. But just be aware that with such a clear level breaking bearish on gold and such a clear dollar level coming up, 97.71, if the dollar breaks 97.71, that's going to be a catalyst, in my opinion, for short-term levels, RSI levels on gold and these miners, the bull miners, to get real extreme. So if you reject from 97.71 on the dollar, then I would expect the oversold bounces to get going, just looking for daily lower highs, but I would expect them to get going on these miners and on gold itself. So that key dollar level, 97.71, keep an eye on it the next couple days if looking to try and play these bounce plays. LABS. So bulls have to see a break of 605 and 652. The size of the pullback to the size of the bounce needed for a new all-time high of 36%. It's possible after such a strong day yesterday, but normally you give me this chart and I say the most likely scenario is a lower high and an equilibrium. So if we can't break 652 and we lose the hourly uptrend, the daily equilibrium will be in play. And this is another name, we have a lot of them in the MJ sector that did not establish an hourly high or low yesterday. So we are going to be a bit extended if we do head towards 652 today. You can see the hourly RSI is getting back up over the 60s. So I would personally expect a lower high compared to 652, but we know that the next time we consolidate on the hourly, because the last high or low is 510, that we can anticipate an hourly high or low will come from the next consolidation that we see. CURA is blue sky breakout with a strong close yesterday. Bulls want to break that high first thing, 1510 right out of the gate. And we're going to look for continuation into the all-time highs. But again, the hourly chart is extended. We have not consolidated since 1342. Blue sky breakout can make those RSI levels get extended, so keeping that in mind. But I personally am going to continue to scale out into strength. And the stronger the start, just like if I'm playing bounces, and I talk about how my aggression level matches the bears, it's the same thing with scaling out. If the bulls are really aggressive first thing and get extended, if we see, a 2-3% move right out of the gate, that's enough for me to scale out some. The more aggressive the bulls are, the more inclined I am to scale out into strength. That's all I got for that. Netflix. So Netflix was on absolute fire yesterday, breaking all kinds of resistance levels, and the high of 2019 is 379. That's the only resistance level nearby. We're seeing hourly consolidation, which we did not have at all during trading yesterday. Best case scenario for the bulls will be to see the bell ring and to turn around and break the high of yesterday, 377.69, to give us a new hourly high or low. But if we can't break that high of yesterday, we're going to be looking for, and that high is actually 377.69. But if we can't break that level this morning, we're going to have a daily inside bar likely form. So very healthy hourly consolidation at this point. It's just a question of which direction are we going to head once that bell rings. If we pull back into the low 370s, daily inside bar will be more likely. And if we can hold and the low pre-market holds, then a potential continuation move is more likely. T-God. So close at the high of the day. Bulls need to break 418 first thing. Anything under 447 is just a daily lower high. And on the hourly time frame, we are very extended. So we need an hourly higher low to form sooner rather than later. And no daily trend change in sight just yet. Still a lot of work for the bulls to do. And again, I go over it more in depth in the video from last night. More information there. Tesla bears in complete control. Close at the low of the day yesterday. Gap down, open, setting up. Key support is 258.63. So this is a scenario with earnings approaching tomorrow. I would want to see bearish action to give us that psychology trade where we look for bears to cover and bulls to buy at a discount, a perceived discount heading into earnings. So I would like to see Tesla, the more beat up, the better. But if we hold 258.63, that's a potential bounce area to be watching. And the hourly RSI is hovering right around oversold. So pretty much first thing, can the bulls hold 258.63 during regular trading? If we can, we'll look to see if the bounce can get going. And I would say anything on the hourly under 264.50 is just an hourly lower high. And if we see a bear break of that level of 258.63, we're looking down at 254.46. But again, extreme pullback the past couple days. We see the 4-hour time frame is oversold, which is why I would be scouting. If not in a position, I'd be watching for that bounce before earnings. PG, big upper wick of profit taking from yesterday. It's a bearish reversal candlestick, and it looks like we're seeing a gap down open. So there's an hourly lower high and lower low. So the hourly trend has changed. The short-term support is 105.35, and we've already broken that. Next daily level is 104.17. So a shift in momentum has occurred. On any bounce, we're going to be looking for a lower high to form compared to 106.75. And we're not oversold on the hourly at this point. And I look at the weekly time frame to say, is weekly consolidation due? And it certainly looks like it. This looks like a rising wedge. So we're shifting momentum. You can see the daily 12-period exponential support has held the last 3 periods of consolidation, and we're going to be testing it today. If we close under it, it will be noteworthy for that shift in momentum as well. And weekly consolidation is due. Anything above 97.75 is a weekly higher low. OILS. So we have our daily range set between 68 and 45.5. And this is another one just like labs where I would be looking for a lower high. So I would be watching the high at the double top, the low of the pullback, scouting a lower high compared to 68. If we see a bear break of 58, we will call our lower high set, and then we'll look for a higher low compared to 455. If the bulls are able to break 62 first thing, they're going to have to bring the volume today to try and get over 68, and we were lacking that bull volume yesterday. So watching for the potential equilibrium setup, and keep an eye on labs because the setup is so similar and they are in the same subsector. We want to know what the other one is doing because that can give us clues if one breaks before the other one. Hexo. So Hexo, we had the high of yesterday at 713. Pre-market here, we're below that level, so the bulls need to break 713 first thing. And then we're looking at 733, which is the highest price that we've seen. That's the all-time high. So all-time high is on watch. If we cannot break the all-time high and we lose the hourly uptrend, then we're going to look for the need to see a daily higher low form. $7 is the most important support level for me, and then 676 after that. If we can't break 713 first thing and we lose $7 support, the odds of a daily inside bar will be high. So all MJ bulls want to break that high of yesterday first thing. X is still weak. And pre-market, we're looking down. So once we open, the key support is 1602 and 1587. And to change the hourly trend, bulls need to hold 1602 and break 1638. Then we'll zoom out to the daily. If that does occur, we'll say the hourly trend change happened, and anything under 1742 is just a daily lower high. But bulls are trying to see this bounce take place. The weekly time frame, certainly pretty crushed at this point. But step number one is we have to change the hourly trend for any kind of bounce to get going. ACRG. So need to change the hourly trend for the bulls. We have the low of 2109. We have our high of the bounce of 2250. And the bulls have to hold 2109 and break 2250 to change the hourly trend. From there, we would look for a tightening daily range between our high and low. And we would look for a daily lower high to be set. But same thing, step number one, change the hourly trend. Have to break 2250. And to be confident in follow through, we need to break 2295 after 2250. It would be a red flag for bulls if we can't break that second level. So here on IIPR, I'm watching the tightening weekly range with our all-time high, low of the pullback. Our lower high was set at 86.35, and now the bulls need to form a weekly higher low compared to 75.56. So 75.56 is the must-hold level. Otherwise, we lose the weekly uptrend if that breaks. And for the bulls to shift momentum back in their favor, looks like we had a 4-hour bear flag. It's a bit choppy the past 3 days. Not a ton of clarity. 79, 32, and 35 is a short-term double bottom to be watching. And for us to be confident that the higher low is forming on the weekly, we need to see the bulls at least get over the high of yesterday, 82.20. So yesterday, it looks like we saw a daily inside bar break bullish with no follow-through, and the bears took over there. It's definitely a bit up in the air because that did occur, and that's a big red flag. But then look at all that bull volume loading right off that short-term support. So 79.32 is key in the short term, but we already have a bit of a red flag for the bulls who changed that hourly trend and saw zero follow-through. CGC bulls have to break the high of yesterday first thing, 48.70. 48.90 resistance is right behind it as a daily level as well. And if we can't break 48.70 first thing, we're going to look for profit taking in the MJ space. And one thing that I'm going to be watching for is if we see the dip buying. So dip buying will be key. If we can't break 48.70 right out of the gate, we're going to be looking at where can the bulls find support. Perhaps it'll be 5-minute oversold RSI, which is actually not that far away from where we're setting up here. So if we can't break 48.75 and we come down and break $48, we'll look for a 5-minute oversold bounce. And from that 5-minute oversold bounce, if we don't see big bull volume back up to 48.70, then a daily inside bar will be very likely. Lori is live today at noon. GBR, again, need exchanges. We're going with US. So GBR, we've got an equilibrium. So high, low, lower high, higher low, inside bar on the weekly currently forming. The bulls are trying to give confidence that our weekly higher low is 193. And we're looking at the potential of a daily lower high being set compared to 268. This is not the kind of follow through the bulls were looking for yesterday. A big upper wick of profit taking. Very choppy on the hourly. Looks like we might be seeing a higher open. But we're looking at 268 as the most important resistance level. If we lose the hourly uptrend without breaking 268, the daily chart will continue to tighten and we'll look for a higher low compared to 193. All about 268 resistance in the short term. SNN, daily inside bar yesterday. With a bull break, we're looking up at 507, and with a bear break, we're looking at 484. And it's an equilibrium with our low, high, higher low. And if we get a bear break of this daily inside bar, we'll call this our lower high at 507, and the bulls will have to hold 470 to stay in this tightening range. If we get a bull break, then we'll say our lower high has not been set yet. So tight range set to break today as far as the daily inside bars go. So Cron key resistance is $17 first thing. Little gap up open is coming, so completely the opposite of CGC in pre-market action. Next resistance is 17.12 and 17.65. We have not consolidated to form an hourly higher low, although at this point it would be the end of the day action at 16.75 as our short-term support level. So all about 17.12, which is a double top first thing, and then 17.65. Bulls looking pretty good in terms of already breaking the high of yesterday as we head into the open. Twitter earnings are tomorrow. Bear break yesterday. Bulls bought the dip. Have to change the hourly trend for the bulls to see any kind of follow through. 37.26. So big gap up is coming. Wondering if my earnings date is wrong, but don't think so. Either way, it's a bull move. And the next resistance level is 37.14. We want to break that level during regular trading. And then key is up at 37.47. So two key levels in the 37s and then a gap fill on the daily. And the bulls would love to get to that gap fill space. Most important pre-market level is, for me, 36.49. UGAZ. So again, it's a daily bear flag setting up on both UGAZ and NatGas USD. And if we see a bear break on UGAZ, and we already are, so we're confirming this bear flag. 23.26 breaking confirms the daily bear flag, and we have no support on UGAZ nearby. And anything under 24.44 is just a lower high on the hourly time frame. Natural gas in a bit of free fall. APPS, little tight range here. Last few days, high or low, high. Higher low is now set at 340, and the bulls need to break 367. And there's also a longer range tightening range. So we got a tightening weekly and a tightening daily with different levels. So it all depends on what time frame you're looking at. Bulls are trying to form a higher low compared to 307 on the weekly. And they're hoping that 330 is that level. So equilibrium on the weekly and mini equilibrium on the daily. And if the bulls are able to break 367, the odds that we are going to see that weekly higher low set will increase. That will be our weekly higher low if we break that little mini daily equilibrium bullish. Shop bulls daily bull flag confirmed, all-time highs. Keeping that run going. MBRX, huge day yesterday. Resistance is up at 315, the start of pre-market. We are dumping. So that's the risk of these low cap runners. No support established. And giving it all back. The only support nearby is going to be the low of yesterday of 125. I certainly would expect 125 to hold to give us a daily inside bar. So a potential bottom fishing play with that level. Short-term support or short-term resistance is 152 as the bulls try and change the 5-minute trend. Need to get my account ready to go for the morning. So APHA, high of yesterday was 792 pre-market. So we have to break 792 first thing and ideally $8 to get at least some convincing follow-through. And we're just looking for a daily lower high to form. Anything under 1012 is a daily lower high. But we have to break the high of yesterday first thing. That is a daily inside bar. If we reject, we're looking back down at 780 and 757. And if we break resistance, 8 and 823 are the next two levels. MedMen can't really give any information. We're going to likely see a bullish reaction, but we don't have any pre-market information to be going off of. So 388, $4, and 422 are our resistances. VFF, bulls looking for a higher low to form compared to 981. So low, high of the bounce, and we're scouting the higher low. And the hourly trend needs to change for the bulls. So we need to hold 1121 and break 1190 to change the hourly trend. Then we'll be confident that our daily higher low has been established and the daily range will continue to tighten from there. But have to change the hourly trend as step number one. Already did oils. NVDA. So NVDA on the daily time frame is trying to change the daily trend back in its favor with a higher low and higher high. We have to see a break of 190.46. That is the resistance level. And if we can't break that, we're just going to stay in a tightening range. As far as support goes, again, we have nothing nearby because we didn't establish an hourly. We did actually right at the end of the day there. 188.12 is the most important short-term support for me. And it's all about that resistance level because if we change that daily trend back in favor of the bulls, very brief weekly consolidation in a bull flag pattern looking for continuation to 2019 highs. So here comes the open. I need to see ACB break 923 and 930 this morning to have confidence in follow-through. And CVSI is looking good to break 579 triple top first thing this morning. That was also at the top of my list to be watching. XBI, we're watching the daily inside bar. Break of 85.39 is bullish. Break of 83.69 is bearish. We're starting in the middle of that range, so still tight. And I'll get to other names in a minute. So CGC pulling back a bit first thing. The question is, will the bulls buy the dip? 5-minute RSI on CGC is getting towards oversold. Not there just yet. We would pretty much have to break 48 to see 5-minute oversold conditions. But potentially watching if 48 breaks for that oversold bounce entry. ACB still battling just under the high of yesterday. And here goes CGC testing 48. So CVSI has a nice bull break. We'll see what kind of follow through we can get there. Very quick bounce on CGC, so let's see now if this is the catalyst for the turnaround. I took a little bit of Curaleaf off, locking in a little bit more profit as that was my biggest position at this point. And if the bulls can break 48.35 from here, it will be a nice sign of dip buying. Bulls have proving to do. So ACB unable to break high of yesterday is a red flag, but I'm watching the CGC bounce here, because it's looking like that bear break was a nice entry. And we'll see if that can help the sector bulls recover. So either way, if you did enter on that bear break of 48, potential of a break-even stop loss, but looking good so far. So 48 psychological break straight into 5-minute oversold, dip buying, and now we have to break 48.35 for the bulls to breathe a big sigh of relief. Not out of the woods yet. So SPY bulls breaking the high of yesterday, they're in full control. We're looking at the tech sector leading the way. The biotech sector is in the green now, so we need to break the high of yesterday on the biotech sector. Still in the middle of the range for XBI, though. And it is the financial sector that is a bit weaker down at the low of the day. So I'm still holding ACB here. It's holding up well enough for me, and I just want to see, can CGC shift this momentum? And it's looking real good. That was a nice entry opportunity. If we break 48.35, which still hasn't happened yet, but if we do, we're looking up at the next resistance level of 48.54. So there's a new high of the day. It's a complete reversal off that low. The bulls aggressively bought that dip. And now we're looking at the high of yesterday, 48.70 as the most important level from here. So congrats to those dip buyers. And really just an ideal scenario lining up with 5-minute oversold and a psychological support level breaking. And now let's see if ACB can break the high of yesterday, which is a double top with the high of today. All right, back to some tickers. TNDM. So TNDM is a potential bear flag on the daily we have to be cautious of. So far, we're unable to break the high of yesterday of 57.63. That's short-term resistance. And if we lose the hourly uptrend, the odds of a daily bear flag would be high. So key support 54.77 on the hourly and 57.63 is our resistance. Netflix seeing some profit taking, but still holding on. It's all about the low of pre-market, 374.41. If that level breaks, we are likely to consolidate a bit this morning. And if that level holds, the bulls are still just fine overall. So that's the most important level, 374.41. Apple bulls pretty much break even. Daily chart still holding strong, 204.94 is resistance. The bulls made a nice recovery from weakness pre-market on Apple, but we haven't broken the high of yesterday yet. So that's the resistance level to be watching. And support is 203.52, and then the low of pre-market, 202.46. So CGC still not getting a ton of follow-through. So again, you want to place stops if you did make a buy this morning, as we are not seeing a full recovery. Let's see if we get a 2-minute equilibrium setup on CGC. So low of the day, high of the day, and now we're coming back down, and we have to form a higher low compared to 47.80 to stay in the 5-minute equilibrium. If we set a new low of the day here, that would definitely be a red flag that would tell us that we're likely going to see a daily inside bar for the rest of the day. So have to hold the low here for the 2-minute equilibrium, and if we break to a new low on CGC, I will exit ACB. And that was quick. So quick bounce with a lack of follow through. So trimming some positions, some more out ACB. CVSI is still holding on enough. And I'm trying to play the CVSI weekly chart. So being in the green on CVSI, I'm going to give it some room to work with. So that's the kind of bounce where either bulls take that short-term profit on the 1%, 1.5% bounce, or just set a stop at break even and hope to get follow-through with zero risk. But daily inside bar odds just increased a bunch on CGC as we're seeing some hourly consolidation that we did not see yesterday. So back to 5-minute oversold conditions, and we'll be watching for another short-term bounce in the near-term future. But I'm seeing this negative impact on CGC, even on the US MSOs. So aware of that as well. Twitter, I would have to see a loss of uptrend to look bearish. Anything above 36.84 pre-market is a higher low. Definitely extended on the hourly time frame, but I would want to see a loss of the 5-minute uptrend personally. So CGC 5-minute RSI might get overextended because a bunch of that dip buying power was used up on the initial attempt. But we're down in the teens. So making an entry on CGC here. Just looking for a day trade flip, and I will add if we drop down into the 47.20s from here. So it's the same scenario on 5-minute oversold bounces. We're either setting stop losses at break even and hoping that the hourly higher low is forming, or we're locking in short-term gains on these short-term bounces. So ACB, big time pullback. So double top with the high yesterday certainly put my finger on the sell trigger. But everybody pulling back with CGC. ZYNE, nice follow through from yesterday. So Tesla, big time bounce. So now let's see if this is the dip buying heading into earnings. Complete turnaround, first 2 5-minute candlesticks this morning. And we're looking at 264.50 as the high of pre-market resistance. Going to be watching CGC 5-minute exponential resistance as a potential target for taking profit. So again, just like yesterday, it does look like CGC is dictating what the sector is doing. SPY bulls in complete control, just looking at the high of 2019 as our resistance in the 291s. Five-minute RSI hasn't cooled off much on CGC on this bounce attempt. So again, if we do drop and hit a new low, at this point I would shift my perspective to add another position, and it would be down in the low 47s if I were going to add. Riot. So let's see how Riot responded to the gap up open, or I should say the Bitcoin strength, and we are seeing follow through on Riot. So next resistance level on Riot after the gap up open, and we actually already pulled back and filled that gap, but we're looking at a lack of resistance in this area. So really 6 psychological is the next level we're looking at, and short-term support is just going to be the low of the day. So labs, I'm looking at the volume first thing on the hourly. That's what I want to compare to. And it is standing out as higher, absolutely. So the odds increase a bit that we could see all-time highs. But again, from where we stand, we still need another more than 5%. So yes, odds increased from the open due to the volume and due to the lack of correlation with CGC weakness. Got to keep an eye on the CGC bounce and how it shapes up, because if the 5-minute RSI does start cooling off, that's my reason for being in the trade. And if that changes, then I don't have a reason for being in the trade at that point. I'd like to exit at 47.80s. Entry was in the 47.40s. And again, it all depends on your perspective. CGC, we're just going to be looking for a healthy daily higher low at some point when we do see daily consolidation underway. Bulls have tons of space to work with on the daily time frame. SPY continuation for these bulls. Biotech sector getting closer and closer to resistance. SPY 291.43 is resistance. XBI has to break 85.39, and XLV has to break 86.47. And if those two events happen, it's certainly going to be bullish for the market, as those oversold bounces will be underway. TRVG daily inside bar broke bullish with a gap up open, 48.58. 458 is the resistance. Anything under that is just a daily lower high. And our hourly support, we don't have really any clear support nearby aside from the low of the day. So bulls need to hold the low of the day at this point. And we're looking up towards that 458 resistance. Nice strong start. So we got to be careful of a CGC bear flag on the 5-minute time frame. RSI is still low, but this changes my perspective a little bit because it did cool off a bit on this bounce. So I'm probably going to exit CGC on break even. And there it goes. And now look for another potential re-entry. That 1 5-minute green candlestick mixed in there made me want to exit my initial entry. Let's see if the bottom holds. Key support test 47.31. So bear follow through now, not a good sign for individual names, just in the sense that it is a consolidation day shaping up in the MJ sector. And if we drop down to the low 47s, I will be interested in a re-entry. If we break 47 here, 5-minute RSI will be close to the low teens, close to single digits. So I would certainly be comfortable with another re-entry if 47 breaks. And our new key resistance is the top of that bounce, 47.74. So Netflix double topped at key 379 resistance and is pulling back. Just looking for an hourly high or low on Netflix. Here's CGC's 47 test. So I'm going to re-enter after a break-even exit. And with the 5-minute RSI in the mid-teens, at this point, I would enter a second position down in the 46 70s or 60s if we drop down there. So you can see how this entire bounce play this morning and how I'm managing it is shifting based on minute-by-minute information that we're getting. That second 5-minute candlestick on CGC changed whether I would hold my original position and just add a second position or exit break even and start from scratch again. XBI is still unable to break the daily inside bar bullish. Still tightening. And there's going to be decent bear volume on CGC this morning in terms of comparative to yesterday. And once we find this hourly higher low, we'll be watching for the daily inside bar to tighten up. ICPT. Strong start to the day for ICPT. Anything above the low of the day will be a 5-minute higher low. And the daily oversold bounce trying to follow through. So the hourly trend, including pre-market levels, there's a, well, we can call that an hourly trend change. Our hourly support is 86.50. And we have to be cautious because if we break 86.50 from here, daily bear flag will be very likely. And we still have to be cautious of the potential of the daily bear flag setup. You know, CGC's 15-minute RSI being oversold keeps me confident. And my game plan on this bounce attempt is I'm going to take half profit and then set my stop under the low of the day, which will be above break even, depending on where I take that half profit, aiming for the 47.20s. SPY bulls still in full control. Financial sector hovering near the low of the day. I'll get to tickers here in just a second, trying to scale out half a CGC. It is a potential 2-minute bear flag on CGC still at this point. So 2-minute bear flag confirmed, and I'm still looking to potentially enter my second position if we drop down into the 46.60s from here. That might be a scenario where we get a new low of the day with no bear follow through. And that will be the case if we can break 47.20. So the sector is consolidating on IAN. We are looking at support down at 672. IAN is a daily inside bar today, just like CGC. Lift is still a potential daily bear flag, but if we're looking for an entry, there's actually no real clear support nearby. 59.85 is a level. So it all depends on the trade game plan. If you're just looking for a 5-minute oversold bounce flip, looks like that 5-minute bounce is already beginning. But other than that, I don't like the clarity because there's not many levels nearby to base trades off of. HAS, huge gap up open. 5-minute uptrend is remaining intact. 99.51 is now support. Resistance 102.87 and 103.03, the high of pre-market. So CGC hit a new low of the day and only followed through by 9 pennies. And now if the bulls can break 47.20, that'll be the first short-term momentum shift, but we have to be watching the 5-minute exponential resistance because 5-minute bear flags are still possible. Here's the 47.20 test. There's a battle. Bears are defending 47.20. And they're doing a pretty good job. It just got eaten up and then replaced real quick. That's the line in the sand for the Bears. Need a convincing break over 47.20 because every time it gets bought, someone's putting an order back there. Not allowing for any follow through. That is very clear. Keep refilling it. We keep breaking it by a few pennies, and it keeps just dropping right back to 47.20. Need to turn that level into support. So I am out half of my CGC position here in the upper 47.20s, 47.29. So now my break-even point is under the low of the day. So I can set a break-even stop under the low of the day for the second half of the position and then hope that the hourly higher low has been set and that we get this bounce follow through. And the bulls want to make their way into the 4760s to create space for a 5-minute higher low. SPY bulls at the high of the day, they're extremely strong. Tech sector leading the way. Amazon bulls with a lot of follow through. Keep in mind, Amazon's very overextended as well. 5-minute potential bull flag holding exponential support, but the hourly time frame during regular trading hours has not consolidated on Amazon in about $60 of price action. So the question is, where is CGC going to form its hourly support level and potential low of the day for the daily inside bar? And bulls are hoping that that was it. But we certainly need a 5-minute trend change at a bare minimum to make bulls confident. So that's about as good an example of active day trading management where I establish a game plan, but I use the short-term minute-by-minute details to shift that game plan slightly to put myself in a situation where worst case, it's break even, and best case, it's our daily higher low and a solid profit trade. Little bounce on Cureleaf now. We're seeing, again, clear that I'm just watching IAN and Cura, but it's very clear that they are following CGC. XBI is near the low of the day again, so the bulls are not getting that break. We're still very tight. Let's see what oil's doing since the open. Big bull recovery. Man, oil is on fire. Haven't seen Trump tweet about high oil prices recently, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that coming in the near term. But he certainly has not had an impact. Bitcoin bulls still in control. Higher lows every hourly candle for the last 5 hours. Twitter bulls are on fire. Their new short-term support is 38.44. So CGC bulls are now giving themselves space to form a 5-minute higher low. So X is a daily inside bar currently, and bulls have to break high of yesterday to get this daily oversold bounce going. So key resistance is 1648. And if we can't break 1648, a daily inside bar will be likely. Looks like our 5-minute top is potentially set on CGC. So that resistance is 47.63. Have to hold the low of the day and see continuation. That's a big SPY bull move. Thanks to the tech sector. So SPY is at 2019 highs. We broke resistance by a penny, and we need more follow through. That's a double top at this point. XBI's support is the low of yesterday. It's a daily inside bar. So bulls must hold 83.69. Otherwise, it's an inside bar bear break. And again, it is still astounding to me that the S&P 500 bulls are at the 2019 highs with so much weakness in the healthcare and biotech sector. We still haven't seen any kind of daily bounce take place. XBI still has daily lows, daily lower highs every day now for 7 days in a row. It's almost a setup where once things cool off for the biotech and healthcare sector and they get a bounce, it's almost going to open the door for the financial sector or the tech sector to consolidate and cool off and see some rotation. Apple bulls, big time recovery from the weakness pre-market. Amazon and Google have been on fire. Google's been on fire ever since that daily tightening range broke bull. That was at 1220. And we're now up 3.5% since then. I still have a Cura position, but I took half of it off today in the 11 teens. Or 1110, right around that area. So we do still have a double top to be watching on SPY. Bulls are certainly comfortable, but they'll be even more comfortable if we can get that break. Remember XLF? Yesterday I kept talking about that high of the day, and we rejected maybe 3 or 4 times from 27.32, 33, and the high of today is 27.30. So there's still very clearly a resistance zone there to be watching. Netflix bulls still watching that 379 level. Decent bounce off the low of the day. We're in the middle of the day's range. CGC testing the high of the bounce, 47.63. That bull break there, if we can get a little bit more follow through, certainly makes us confident now that the hourly higher low is set. Odds that we will be able to see a 5-minute higher low increase a bit. Volatility is certainly still there. We've seen a 2% bounce from the low of the day on CGC. XLF fading back down towards the low of the day. We're going to have to watch if we hit a new low of the day. So with volume dropping off on CGC, I'm probably going to lock in a day maker here and then potentially re-enter on a 5-minute higher low if I like the setup, playing off the low of the day. If we are seeing increasing bull volume, I just hold the position. But volume dropping off a bit. KO on the daily chart, gap up open, and we have an hourly wide range to be watching. So high of pre-market and low of the day is the range, and we're looking for an hourly lower high compared to 49.37. And actually, the 15-minute time frame might be the best for clarity on KO. If this 15-minute inside bar were to break bearish, we'd say our 15-minute lower high is set, and we then need a higher low from there. CGC, anything under the high of the day will be a 5-minute lower high, and we are certainly setting up for an equilibrium on the 5-minute time frame. JetBlue. Big time bull move on the daily. 1677 and 75 was essentially a double bottom, and now we're breaking all daily resistances. Next level we're looking up at is 1755 and 1769. And we haven't established a 5-minute support level from the low of the day. So we will need a 5-minute higher low. But notable bull break on the daily chart. That weekly chart is a really good one for an equilibrium. If we can't break 1850 on the weekly chart, we're going to look for this pattern on the weekly for JetBlue to tighten up into May and June. I'd love to see it stay in that pattern and get tighter. KML. Wow, look at those look at 6 out of the last 8 days are high of the day at the open and big bear moves. So support is down at 15.17, resistance is 15.38. And essentially the bulls are just trying to form a daily higher low compared to 14.88, but that's one of the stranger charts. The last 4 days of action, I can't remember ever seeing a chart that looked like that. So certainly some odd trading action. DOCU, nice bounce follow through from Thursday. Anything under 56.65 is just a lower high, and we have a weekly equilibrium to be watching. Actually, let's see here. I take that back. It was a weekly lower high and lower low, but with no bear follow through. But the bulls have to change the daily trend in their favor, and if we can't break 56.65, it's just a lower high, and it'll be up to the bulls to form a higher low compared to the low of Thursday. Last CGC sell just hit. I ended up doing it in thirds. ISRG. So ISRG is a daily inside bar, and REGN is a potential daily bear flag. The bounce has already followed through more on REGN than it has on ISRG. But we still need an hourly trend change on REGN. This bounce is coming straight off the low. We need an hourly higher low and then a higher high to confirm the hourly trend change. Reason for trading CGC over Cron is just the setup was very clear and staring me in the face. Usually Cron has bigger percentage moves, but CGC has the hype recently. Yesterday I was very surprised with Cron's strength, but CGC is in the headlines. It has the focus and attention. HIVE, double bottom, the low of the last 2 days. So 56 key support. The oversold bounce is already underway, but anything under 65 is just a little lower high. Need to see a 15-minute trend change for me to say the oversold bounce is underway. So anything under 65 is a 15-minute lower high after the double bottom. And we'll need follow-through. So CGC, if we do top out here, we're looking for a 5-minute higher low to form. I'd say visually, the bulls would certainly be in favor if we can hold 47.40. That's just a visual target. Doesn't mean a whole lot aside from what would be ideal. Let's see how that MedMen news was received. Didn't really do anything. Daily inside bar, low volume. So I didn't read the details, but bulls not really too excited about it. So XLF is down at the low of the day. XBI is hovering above the low of the day, and we did actually break to a lower low, but very briefly. And SPY has a double top at 291.44. The bulls are still very much in control. But we would have to be cautious if the tech sector starts to show weakness, because it is the tech sector keeping SPY strong this morning. Thank you. That would make sense on MedMen. So lots of daily inside bars forming for the MJ sector, which is not necessarily a bad thing. We ran really hard and did not establish hourly support yesterday. Pins is certainly having a big day. 5-minute chart is very due for consolidation. Absolutely no entries at this point. CGC is doing a great job of holding up at this point. So what stood out yesterday for CGC? Increased volume 35 minutes into the day. Look at CGC on the 5-minute right now. That's the normal volume pattern. We had a spike with a new low of the day. That's certainly normal. But other than that, it's just slow decline, reaching normalization after the open rush. And if you go back and look at yesterday's and compare it to today, very clearly, things stood out for those bulls a half hour into the morning. And that's the reason I decided to scale out into strength rather than holding and hoping for another big bull surge, is because the volume was telling me that as of this point, that bull surge is not happening. Nice bull break on Netflix. That's a very quick recovery. 5-minute equilibrium just broke bullish. Hourly higher low is now set at 374.41 just before the bell ring. And we're looking at 380 psychological. Very strong tech sector. Keep in mind that a lot of this strength in the tech sector is starting to price in earnings. The fact that Amazon has run almost $70 in the past 2 days is certainly pricing in some earnings. Hexo daily inside bar, just like everybody else. Solid bounce off the low. 5-minute equilibrium is likely. So looking for a 5-minute lower high compared to the high of the day. This is the same chart as CGC on the 5-minute chart, pretty much. Low of the day hit at the same time. Correlations are very strong in the sector. So if we can't break the high of the day, we're going to look to pull back and form a 5-minute equilibrium, but CGC is still not done. Still right up there at the high of the bounce. And we do have a 5-minute higher low every 5-minute candlestick on CGC still. That pattern has to break for us to set a temporary top. So I'd certainly be watching the CGC 5-minute chart with Hexo, and it's all about the high of the day for both. KMB. All bear to start the morning. Break of the low of yesterday means there's no support nearby, so we do have to be cautious. RSI on the 5-minute is oversold, but levels can get extreme due to the lack of support. 15-minute RSI is oversold as well. We're scouting for a higher low to form on this daily chart, but no indication of that at this point. Hourly chart is nowhere near oversold. So tough to try and find a bounce with no support nearby and RSI levels not meaning as much. We'll need a 5-minute trend change to give the first potential indication. But even then, I would want to see a 15-minute trend change to be confident that the bulls are shifting momentum in their favor. NRTH. Daily lower high was set at 109, and now we're pulling back, and we have to form a higher low compared to 85 and break 109 to change the daily trend. Otherwise, it's just an oversold daily bounce, cooling off RSI levels and heading to lower lows if we break 85. It is the must-hold level. SPY back up to the high of the day. CGC top of the bounce is 47.88, and that's a double top at this point. If we were to come down and break 47.61 from here, we'd say the temporary top of the bounce is set, but bull's still hanging on just fine. If we break 47.88, we look at 48 psychological. So that's a convincing break. 48 psychological is next. And Hexo going to the high of the bounce with CGC, very correlated and testing that high of the day. And that would be a big time recovery to break the high of the day, but it is still a Hexo daily inside bar unless we break the high of yesterday, 707. So it's all about 707. Actually, I'm on the wrong time frame here. 713 is the high of yesterday. So it's a daily inside bar if we can't break 713, but if we do, it certainly shows a lot of strength and a big time turnaround. SPY trying to break this double top more convincingly, and doing so even though the financial sector is at the low of the day. That just shows you how much strength the tech sector has, and the biotech sector holding on, but not doing a whole lot. So I'm done talking. Hope you all have a good rest of your morning. Lori will be live at noon. And then tomorrow is Dinsey, and I'll be Thursday and Friday morning. Hope you have a good rest of your morning, and I'll be back in 15 minutes to continue coverage in the chat room.